Dana Abuqamar joins me live. Thank you for coming on the programme. So what of the...
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm very well. What have the Home Office said to you about why they're cancelling your visa?
Before I answer your question, actually, Tom, I would like to clarify that is not actually what I said. Have you watched the interview that I did?
I have. Yeah, I've played it out.
Can you quote to me what exactly I did say?
We are full of pride. We are really, really full of joy at what has happened. We are proud that Palestinian resistance has come to this point.
Mm-hmm. And do I mention Hamas at any point in that interview?
Well, what are you full of joy at that point?
My question is clear. Do I mention Hamas at any point?
You are asked about Hamas. You don't mention them by name.
Exactly. So I do not mention Hamas. I do not mention that I condone killing of any innocent civilians. My words were completely taken out of context.
Well, let's go back to what your words are.
No logical person can conclude that I was supporting harm to any innocent civilians based on the context that was given throughout this demonstration. Let me explain it to you, Tom. There was no explicit mention of Hamas or support for Hamas or harm to any innocent civilians. Whether there was any implicit mention is also not the case. So the process was advertised in a manner that showed support for Palestinian resistance breaking through the siege. The process itself was full of chants and speeches that, again, were supporting Palestinians breaking through the siege, with no mention of Hamas, with no symbols referring to Hamas whatsoever. The coverage itself at that point, when I was doing the interview with Sky News, did not show anything related to Hamas.
So when you're there at this rally on the days after, the immediate days after October the 7th, and you say, we are full of pride, what are you full of pride about?
The breaking of the siege on Gaza, which was placed on Gaza illegally for over 16 years.
And how did the breaking of the siege happen?
It was not only by Hamas. It was by multiple armed groups. It was by civilians and children as well who were resisting against the occupation.
PIJ, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, for example, they're another group that operate in Gaza. Not them? So when you say
I was not referring to a specific group.
Sorry, Donna, let me ask the question, please. It's my programme. We are proud that Palestinian resistance has come to this point. You're not referring to Hamas?
No, I'm not.
But they form Palestinian resistance, don't they?
No. Palestinian resistance in itself is an action, Tom. Right? Resistance.
So what were Hamas doing on October the 7th?
With international law.
So what were Hamas doing on October the 7th, in your view?
It does not concern me what Hamas was doing. I was referring to Palestinian resistance. I was referring to resistance that is consistent with international law and the specific act of breaking through the siege, which is consistent with international law.
Well,
I was not referring to any group.
Were people to have just broken through the siege, i.e., gone through the fences, understandable. But they didn't, did they?
What do you mean?
Well, we know what happened on October the 7th. People went through those fences and those walls, and they went on to butcher innocent people. So what part of the Palestinian resistance on that day are you proud of, and what parts of it do you think shame you?
The aim of breaking through the siege was not going on and conducting any crimes. The point behind breaking of the siege and the resistance that I was referring to was breaking a siege, was breaking through an open-air prison, a concentration camp, which is illegal under international law. I never condone the harm of any innocent civilians, nor will I ever, because that is a complete misrepresentation of my views and of my character.
Okay, so when you say that you are proud that Palestinian resistance, by which you say not referring to Hamas, you say has come to this point. What does come to this point mean?
Resistance can be in numerous different forms. Resistance can be by simply existing in your homeland. Resistance can be through education. It can form many different forms. But resistance that is on the ground, that is resisting against an oppressive regime and an occupation.
Just not by killing innocent people?
No, obviously not.
Well, that's not obvious from what you say, Dana. With respect, that's not obvious from what you say.
It is obvious, Tom. If you try and break down the implicit biases that you have against Palestinians and against.
My bias is on display here.
Tom, let's put your biases on aside. Do you agree with what the Home Office has done in revoking my student visa for simply expressing my views of supporting Palestinians and of resisting oppression?
I actually I have issue with the Home Office doing what they've done, because I think the process should be that someone commits a crime before this happens. An expression of support for a prescribed terrorist organisation is a crime in this country. Have you been in contact with the police?
I've not been in contact with the police. Why would I?
Well, I mean, there might be some people, clearly the Home Office, feel that you've been saying things that are not just not conducive to the public good, but might be advocating a position that could lead people to be associated with terrorism.
Tom, I've made it clear that I did not mention Hamas at any point in the interview, nor is it logical for anyone to conclude that I was supporting Hamas because I was simply supporting resistance. Resistance is as consistent with international law. The breaking of the siege is consistent with international law, and that is as far as it goes.
Thank you very much indeed for your time.